when PBC came in, it was like a hostile takeover. When they came in, they took all of Golden Boy fighters. They had an inside guy working with them before the company was formed, which was Richard Schaefer. He allowed all these contracts to be expired. Al came in, formed the PBC. He got the money from the white folks, from Waddell and Reed, the white hedge fund company, and they gave him like a $500 million, started the company, and he took all the Golden Boy fighters, most of them. It took like 90% of them. Peace to the family. I just got through watching an interview with Bob Arum that he did yesterday. He did a lot of interviews, not yesterday, but this past weekend, when Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan fought each other. And he answered a lot of questions. In this particular interview, Bob Arum spoke about him and the PBC, Al Heyman, are planning on working together a lot more. Now, this is crazy. And the interviewer asked him, he said, is this because of the Turki Alalshikh TKO boxing, by them being involved? Is that the reason why you guys are being forced to work together or working together more? He said, absolutely. You know what I mean? He said that is correct.
I think that more and more we're talking with PBC, and we'll be making fights with them.
Is part of Turki Alalshikh and the new, is part of that prompting you guys to work together more when in the past you may not have?
That is correct. That is correct. That is correct.
So basically, he's saying the reason why that PBC and Top Rank and PBC are going to be working together a lot more because of the new TKO announcement by Turki Alalshikh and Dana White. The issue that I have is this: y'all should have been doing that.
Bruh.
The crazy part about it is this: Top Rank and PBC have been working together for years. Hell, I remember when Terrence Crawford was fighting at 135 pounds and 140 pounds, he fought PBC fighters all the time. Hammer and Hank Lundy and others. It was only till when he moved up to the welterweight division, it was sort of a cold war. Like, okay, we not letting one of your fighters fight any of our welterweights in our stable. That's when they started talking about the wrong side of the street. And, Errol Spence was at the Sean Porter, Danny Garcia press conference. And that was September the 9th, 2018. And he went to talk about wrong side of the street, Terrence Crawford, wrong side of the street, all that stuff there. So, and Keith Thurman went to reiterating it. Sean Porter to a degree, not as much, but a lot of those fighters went saying that same thing. It was kind of like a cult, like it was a club. Everybody hanging out together, drinking together. It was like the party boys, and we not working with nobody else. Even though that was really kind of not true, because some of them were working together, but it was certain fighters they were protecting from other fighters.
Bruh.
Now, I do understand why, because, when I spoke to, who did I speak to? I think I spoke to Carl Moretti. When I spoke to Carl Moretti, and other people, like PBC has like a 4-23 record against top ranked fighters.
Bruh.
So anytime they fight them, they lose. They only won 4 out of like 22, 23 fights. So, from a matchmaker standpoint and the company standpoint, you got to look at it like, man, if you Al Heyman or the PBC and any of those guys over there, they're like, man, shit, man, our matchmakers, every time we fight these dudes, they beat our ass.
Bruh.
So I do get that. Now, you do have the exception, like someone like a Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder was very, very, he really wanted to fight with Tyson Fury, and he got beat twice. The first one was a draw, and he got knocked out 2 times after that.
Bruh.
So, it is what it is. So I do get it. But the thing is, also in this interview, he was asked, hey, look, so competition is better for the sport. And Bob Arum said yes. So a lot of people sitting there crying, mad, oh, man, Dana White, Turki Alalshikh, this and that. In boxing, you got a lot of men, online, the online men, that's all they do is cry, bitch, whine, and moan all the time and complain. Why? I have no idea. But it is what it is. More competition makes it better. Now, this is what hurt American boxing, because of this Cold War that a lot of these promoters had going on. And I do get it. When PBC came in, it was like a hostile takeover. When they came in, they took all of Golden Boy fighters. They had an inside guy working with them before the company was formed, which was Richard Schaefer. He allowed all these contracts to be expired. Al came in, formed the PBC. He got the money from the white folks, from Waddell and Reed, the white hedge fund company, and They gave him like $500 million, started the company, and he took all the Golden Boy fighters, most of them. Took like 90% of them, something of that sort. The Keith Thurmans, the Errol Spences, the Charlo brothers, the Deontay Wilders. He took all of the big names, right? The Adrian Broners, stuff like that. So when he did that, that started the Cold War. Then the lawsuits came about. You know, Golden Boy sued PBC. They lost one lawsuit and they won the other lawsuit. The Top Rank sued PBC. Everything was settled out of court. So they ended up paying out, and PBC tried to take over boxing. That was their goal, to take boxing over. They failed at it.
Bruh.
They had a good run, but they failed at it. They went through 11, 12 different networks. Now, and the networks was putting up money. They was buying time slots on different networks like NBC and Peacock and stuff like that, Fox and stuff like that. And then these other companies like Fox and stuff and Showtime, they was giving them a budget and putting the money up, but they ran through the money. You get what I'm saying? And then now a lot of these networks are not in boxing anymore.
Bruh.
HBO is gone. Showtime is gone. ESPN is leaving.
Bruh.
So, so now it's forcing, and then now you got someone like a Turki Alalshikh, he can't take over boxing. PBC tried that. It didn't work. Boxing is not like NFL. It's not an organization. It's not a league. It's the Wild Wild West. So, but what they can do, they are impacting it, especially if you can get those lower tier to mid-range fighters, which 90% of boxing, 99% of boxing is the blue-collar fighters. So if you can lock down a lot of the blue-collar fighters, you get what I'm saying, and then pay them and stuff like that, you can pretty much run a gamut a little bit. So now it's forcing them, by the announcement of Turki Alalshikh and Dana White and forming TKO, whatever, this little league that other people saying it's a league, but a promotional company, is forcing old enemies to become allies.
Bruh.
Do you get what I'm saying? And what I do like about what Turki Alalshikh is doing, when he has his fights, he pay everybody. Okay, look, promoter, I want to use your fight over here. Promoter, Matchroom, I want to use your fight on this card. Top Rank, I want to use your fight on this card. PBC, I want to use your fighters on this card. And guess what? Everybody's working with Turki Alalshikh. So it is what it is. But this announcement is forcing them. It was kind of telling, because Bob Arum to come out and say, yes, that is correct. By TKO being involved right now, coming in the league, is forcing us to work together even more. So now they have to they have to forge an alliance, when in the past they normally wouldn't. He spoke about Tank Davis. I still don't think Tank can fight any of those other guys, those top guys. I just don't. He has no need to. He doesn't have to. He's the only fighter. Tank Davis is probably the most privileged black fighter on the planet Earth.
Bruh.
No black fighter on the planet can do what he's doing, or get the benefits or privileges inside the ring and outside of the ring, and even from the media that he's got. No black fighter on the planet can do that.
Bruh.
So, but I say this, now this is what. See, the short term was everybody was happy. PBC, we gonna come take over. Now, 10 years later, they formed in 2015. 10 years later, look where they at.
Bruh.
Look where it's at. 10 years later, look where Top Rank is at. Did you get what I'm saying? Top Rank's still doing a lot of shows and stuff like that, but I'm saying, look where it's at. I think last year PBC used to do 40 shows a year. Last year they did 5 shows. 5.
Bruh.
How do you go from 40 shows a year to 5 shows? You want to know how? When you have to put your own money up. And Amazon is not paying for any of these fights. Amazon not putting up no money for these fights. So now they have to use their own money, or try to find more creative ways to use the money. So now if the PBC and Top Rank continue to work together, let's say we're going to go ahead and just work together because we're forced to, they can split the cost. Which network could it be on? I don't know. Maybe they can still do Amazon. Amazon ain't losing a dime because Amazon ain't putting no money up. They're smart. They're not going to give the PBC a budget. Why would they do that? When they have a track record of blowing through money and fucking up everywhere they go.
Bruh.
Yeah, they have their cult-like following online, but the cult-like following online, them niggas broke.
Bruh.
You got a bunch of broke niggas hide behind avatars typing in chats and stuff. That's about as far as that shit gonna go.
Bruh.
You get what I'm saying? So they're not moving the needle. Because they broke, they ain't got nothing. And then now we living in the era now in boxing to where everything is being pirated. Do you get what I'm saying? So ain't nobody paying for pay-per-views. So you can pay a Dan Rayfield or another reporter to come out and say, yeah, we did A, B, C, and D. It looked real good. But no one has no way of confirming that. Y'all know the truth. We know that ain't what's happening.
Bruh.
Why in the hell are people going to pay $80 to see a fight when as good as these streams are? Hell, I got streams right now, just links you can go to, and the stream is so good, they look great.
Bruh.
I like, why I'm gonna pay you $80 for what again? I got a stream right here where I can see that entire fight in real time, and it's not going to buffer, it's not going to do any of that. So that's how I know these people lying. But now it's forcing them to work together. So by them having this Cold War, these different promotional companies, it destroyed American boxing.
Bruh.
Some people would say that American boxing has fell off. It's fell off tremendously from the time that I've been watching boxing, the years I've been watching. And then I can tell you how it fell off from the time I started this podcast 4 years ago until now. American boxing is a joke. It's more tabloidish, stuff like that. And again, I'm not mad about the tabloid stuff. I love it. I love the tabloid. I love to see these niggas arguing and fighting and bickering and threatening each other online. I love it. You know what I mean? It makes good for entertainment.
Bruh.
So that's just pretty much where we at now. But that tells me they could have been working together. Just imagine had PBC, PBC Top Rank, if they would have had all of these fights, if they would have had all these welterweight fights, put it this way, if these guys wasn't practicing wrong side of the street politics, you're on the wrong side of the street. You know what I mean? I'm with this company. You know what I mean? You got to come over here. You got to do that, do this, and do that. I mean, it was cool. The fighters got their cues from their paymasters.
Bruh.
The fighters from the PBC got their cues from Al Heyman.
Bruh.
They got their cues from over there. It's the wrong sides of the streets and stuff. It was the dumbest stuff ever. Especially when y'all was already kind of really like working together on certain fights. But when it came to your big name fighters, you didn't want to work together.
Bruh.
You put these fighters in the witness protection program.
Bruh.
Now, Turki Alalshikh come in the game. He only been here, for 18 months? And he's forcing everybody to work together and lean back. Yeah, it's a lot of fans of promotional companies who screaming, pretty much PBC, because that's all you see. They got the PBC game bangers. They sitting there screaming and yelling, but screaming and yelling, they ain't got no power to do nothing.
Bruh.
No power at all. You weak, ain't got no power, right? So, but the reason why someone like a Turki Alalshikh was able to come in the game was because of what the American promoters were doing or were not doing.
Bruh.
You blowed it. So now we're going to see what's up. Bob, 93 years old. Don't nobody know where Al Heyman at. He's a name without a face or a voice. No one know where he's at. This motherfucker just, again, I ain't never seen nothing like this before in my life. But I never seen a guy in 2025 that's a public figure that's not seen by the public.
Bruh.
Literally. You get what I'm saying? So the CIA can't find him. The FBI can't find him. The Department of Homeland Security can't find him.
Bruh.
You get what I'm saying? I mean, can't nobody find him. There's no pictures, nowhere. The pictures that we see of Al Heyman from 1979.
Bruh.
That's about it. Haven't been seen in public. Fighters haven't seen him.
Bruh.
You get what I'm saying? You want to know how I know? Why y'all ain't got no picture with him? Y'all ain't got no picture with him at all. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The good thing is this. I'm glad that Bob came out and said what he said. Because at the end of the day, as boxing fans, we got to be fans of the sport. I care nothing about being fans of a promotional company. I don't get a check from PBC. I don't get a check from Top Rank. I don't get a check from Matchroom, Queensberry, Golden Boy, Pro Box, none of them. I don't get a check. So I don't pledge allegiance to a company that's not paying me. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I do know that boxing fans, we have a tendency to live our lives, not me, but live our lives vicariously through a promotional company, through a certain fighter. But you need to understand this here. The fighter don't know you, the promotional company don't know you, and you ain't get paid nothing. So living your life vicariously through a promotional company or a fighter, that's a form of escapism.
Bruh.
It gives you an opportunity to escape your reality, but your reality is still the same.
Bruh.
Some kind of utopia, so to speak. You get what I'm saying? So y'all check it out. What y'all think about Bob Arum saying that, hey, look, because of TKO, you know what I mean, is pretty much forcing them to work together more. It's a lot more competition now. And, the Arabs, the Saudis have money. They got big money. Are they going to take the sport over? No, you can't take over this boxing. PBC tried that and failed tremendously.
Bruh.
They had a good run, though. They had a good run from 2015 to about, I think once Wilder started losing and then Errol Spence lost to Crawford, that was the nail in the coffin.
Bruh.
And then Showtime leaving that same year, you know, when Steven Espinosa was lying, saying that Showtime ain't going nowhere, that same year, 2023, yeah, man, Showtime ain't going nowhere. They folded December 2023.
Bruh.
Folded. Showtime left, went the way of HBO. You get what I'm saying? So I think with Wilder losing to Fury twice and Errol Spence getting beat brutally by Terrence Crawford, and he never rematched him. He didn't want to. He didn't want the rematch. He filed for the rematch, and then he let the rematch expire. He had Cadillac surgery. He let the rematch expire, so he didn't want the rematch. So I think that pretty much destroyed them.
Bruh.
So the only thing they have left is Tank Davis from a big name standpoint, and it's going to be very important for the PBC to make sure that they match Tank Davis very, very well. You can't put him in there with a high risk fight. Because you put him in there, you're going to risk what happened to Wilder and what happened to Errol Spence. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think Tank's not going to take no high risk fights because he's the only black fighter that doesn't have to.
Bruh.
He can fight me and his fans going to be happy and it's going to sell out the Barclays Center. You get what I'm saying? That's the type of fans he have. So I just think they're going to be very smart from this point forward. I think that by Top Rank and PBC being forced to work together on a more permanent basis, I think that's going to be good for the sport. Thank you for watching this clip. I want everybody to know that we go live every day from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and X. Y'all please subscribe, share this video, let everybody know that Coach Malachi is here, True Media Boxing Podcast. Catch you guys on the show today. Peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go. Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.